Okay, we got ourselves here yet another car to work on. In this case, we've got a Bolt Rollett, or Rollett, however you pronounce that. As you can see, she's a little rough around the edges. The body and frame and interior are not bad. We're going to replace everything, get everything up to 100% condition. We're going to give it a nice paint job. You know, it's basically the same stuff we did in the previous episode. We're just going to kind of keep this thing going here. I don't think I've worked on one of these before, but I would imagine it's probably just your Garden Variety V8. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. He's missing a few parts. These barn finds always are, and quite a bit. So first thing we're going to do though is we're going to fix and replace all the body panels and glass. Get rid of that first. Okay. Get rid of the body panels. Well, at least the ones we have. Let me get that one on the shopping list. All right. I think we're going to need to do the frame repair, but we'll do that once we get all the body panels off. Other fender, the hood, all this good stuff. All got to come off. And while I do like the color that's on here, I think we're going to repaint it. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm thinking maybe like a robin's egg or a light Ford blue. Maybe do like a metallic coat with some striping or something. Because the stripes on a lot of these cars make them look pretty spiffy. So we'll go with that. See what we end up with. I think that's everything. Okay. So doing a quick walk around, make sure we don't have anything else. And while I have it in my head, we're going to go ahead and get the glassware on the list, because I want these to be 100%, and you can't fix them up. And same for the headlights and taillights. They're better off just throwing them out and getting new ones. Same with the license plate. We're going to be putting a custom plate on these anyway. Get rid of that. There we go. We are missing the trunk, which we can find it easy enough. Let's get these... Oh, before we do anything else, let's actually get the frame up to spec here. Yes, please. Right, so frame is now 100%, so we took care of that. Put this away. We're going to fix up the body panels that we have, and then we'll go buy the one we don't have. Slap all that back on there, get the replacement headlights, taillights, and maybe some custom plates? Yeah, who knows? Let's see. Okay, we got that one. And that one. This game mechanics is actually kind of interesting. You know, because I suppose there's only like a handful of ways you could simulate a chance of either fixing something or breaking it while trying to fix it. Kind of like real life where, you know, if you're good at it, you know, you might have a better chance. But you know, if you don't, and then you end up with essentially scrap. Okay, that one's 100%. That's looking good. 100% there too. Nice. Oh, we need to put the mirrors on. Almost forgot. That should be everything, except the glass, which we already have that on our list. The license plates I'm not going to put on my list because it's easy enough to go to the plate shop and get them. Got the headlights, tail lights. I think that's everything on our list, so let's go buy stuff. As soon as I Okay. I just wanted to make sure we had everything. It looks like we do. Bodywork station, bolt roulette, and trunk. You. Left door window. Rear window. Ourselves a right front door window. You. Brand new windshield. Good. Right headlight. Left tail light. And the other tail light. Okie dokie. Actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and get the custom plates. By custom, because I always want to do the... Like I said, unless I have a specific build in mind, like a theme, I just use a short form of my handle. So... like that. Get two. I can't remember if this has a front plate mount or not, so we'll just go ahead and buy two just to be safe. Worst case, we'll just end up selling one of them. Right on. Okay. Let's do that. That almost matches, except it's a matte. Well, the rest of it's not. That's okay. Well, we're going to repaint it anyway. This kind of almost reminds me like maybe the 70s version of like a Camaro, kind of, sort of. So, like I said, I think we're gonna go with have a nice little, like a either sky blue or maybe like something darker, like a robin's egg. Just kind of give it some, little bit of extra, definition there in terms of color. I think that's everything. Yep. Okay, that's looking good. Get her over to the, I had to put it back in normal mode. This over to paint. See what we can come up with. Alright. Over here. And... that doesn't look half bad. What about, how's that looking metallic? I'm not hating that. If we could get some stripes in on this thing. A little over the top. Nope. Might be our guy. Let's see. We could do white stripes. We could do black stripes. I think I'm going with the... I want a little bit of contrast between them, so I think I'll go with the darker stripes. Let's do that and see how it turns out. Okay, I'm digging that. I think we might have hit it right off the bat here. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. I mean, the rims are garbage, but we'll fix that here in a minute. Dude. I think we like stumbled upon a good combo here. Just like kind of like that light shade of blue and a nice metallic coat. And the black stripes. Yes. I think this works. I'm happy with this. I think I used to have a neighbor that had a little car about this style, but it was like more like a fastback. Like a was not a Mustang, but it had like that kind of like that tapered back end. But it had this almost exact same paint job on it. And the guy let his son drive it to school, believe it or not. And I was like, man, you're braver man than I. Put it that way. All right, let's get this thing back in the shop, the other shop. And we're gonna get this bird up in the air and take a look at the wheels here. The ones on this side are kind of okay, but like I said, we're gonna pull the tires off all four here. These should be the same size. Yeah. Oh, those are. Ooh, that. Yeah. Sorry. I was like, it's just a little pixely. That's okay. These are 205/75s. Let's take a look at the front. And this is... Okay, so they are all the same. Good. That'll simplify things a little bit. There was a car I worked on recently that, in this game, that it was basically the way I kind of set it up and the way it ended up looking also, when I was done, was very much inspired by Road Warrior. You know, like the first time you ever see Mad Max, you know, do his thing. Had that big air scoop coming out of the hood, had the matte black paint job, and the driver's basically it was built more like a drag car. You know, you had just the driver's seat, steering wheel. You didn't have anything else in the cab at all. And this thing was built for one thing, and that was hauling lots of butt. So this one, I'm kind of eager to do the dyno, and took it to the speed track and see what kind of, you know, numbers we can get with this thing. But one thing at a time. Let's get these wheels apart. What I would like to be able to do, and I might have to go to the car auction part of the game to find it. I want to do a GT40. I just I bought the Ford DLC, which as of the making of this video had just come out, like the other day. And one of those is the vintage GT40 Ford race car slash sports car. And you guys ever watch that one Ford racing movie that I think was like had like Matt Damon in it and everything? Yeah, that car. It's like, woo. I'm not much of a car person, and that car, yeah, dude. I've seen those driven around before around here, this part of the middle of nowhere. Got any more? Okay, got all of them apart. But yeah, it's a pretty car. I want to do a proper restoration of one of those, and I know it's going to cost a ton of money. But as you can see, we're almost at $1 million in the game, so I think we can afford it. Thanks to doing 2 of those Lamborghini clone rebuilds, I've made probably close to $500,000 off of just those 2 alone. So not too bad. All right. Ooh, almost messed that one up. Ah, we broke it. No. We broke 2 of them. Ruined. Okay, so what do we do? Alright, so we gotta get... These are easy enough to find. We only boogered up 1. I thought we boogered up 2. We failed 2, but I guess must have gave us a second chance on one of them. But yeah, we kind of dickered one of the rims, but that's okay. Put that on the list, and then we'll need, since we have all the same tire, do that. And boop. Okay. So double check our shopping list. Should just be those 2 things. Sometimes I leave stuff in there from previous steps. And let's go buy stuff. Man, that's the first time in a while I've failed one of those little skill checks, but again, not super horrible, just annoying. Okay, so 205.75. Okay. 205.75. Always overshoot. We need 4 of these. And a little too much caffeine there. Okay. Double check our... Before we go any further, double check the list here. Make sure we got the right size tire. Always want to double, triple check this. 205.75 R14s. Yep, so we get rid of all these old tires. There we go. Get those out of our way. And we still got this guy to go, which should be pretty easy to get. There's a rim shop here. And 14-inch, please. Thank you. Boom. Get rid of that old rim. Now that we have all new stuff. Yep. It's no big deal if you mess up those skill check things. It's not the end of the damn world. I mean, unless you're trying to do some like one of your first total restorations and you're kind of light on money, it's generally it's not a big financial screw up. It's just annoying. Just means a few extra steps. Go buy it, and you're out. And it's like I said, it's not like you're taking yourself on a circuitous path to try to unscrew your mess up here, but like I said, it just kind of slows you down a little bit. But then again, this isn't a race, this is a restoration. Although it seems like I might be speed running this, I'm not. I'm just... You do this enough times, it just kind of becomes muscle memory after a while. You start knowing... Once you get used to the flow of doing these restorations, it goes pretty fast. Okay, so that's everybody. So I'm gonna need to balance them. Pretty clever mini game. And if you've ever used one of these balancing machines in real life, you can kind of see where they got the idea of this mini game. You know, where it spins it, checks it, you know, see where it needs to go, and then essentially they just turn the wheel. And then the thing on the screen will tell you at what point do you need to add a weight, and then it'll tell you how much, and then you just kind of crimp it on there, or you stick them on the inside of the rim, basically. And then it'll run it again, and then make sure that it's balanced, and then you're done, more or less. Sometimes you have to do it more than once, but usually it's not too bad. I've never done it physically myself, but I've been to shops and I've watched them do it. Basically, it's pretty simple looking process. Okay, that's everybody there. In fact, there's even, just for the added little bit of realism, they put little boxes of the lead weights that you can put on there. And they got the little sticky ones. Looks like another sticky one, and then probably a box of the ones you can clip onto or crimp onto the rim. Anyway, a little bit of a nerd moment there. Alright, so leaves in the back, brake drums, and disc brakes in the front. Okay, good. Pretty typical setup for these older cars. I'm only putting these on because I want to be able to do screenshots before we do the actual restoration of the car. Like complete restoration of the car. I do just enough on the outside so that it makes for some good screenshots. Like I'll do some of the exhaust tips and do the rims, do the body, maybe the interior if it's in bad enough shape or missing parts. And then do the screenshots, and then we'll pull the engine out and do the engine rebuild. That's going to be our kind of our working game plan for today. So yeah, we've got missing exhaust part there. Let's get that. Come on. Oh, hitting the wrong button. In one mode, it's X to add stuff to a shopping list, and in the other mode, it's spacebar. Or other menu, it's spacebar. Okay, let's get rid of that since we already have the. Oh, you know what I noticed? Hopefully you noticed it too. Got ahead of myself. Didn't put the fourth tire on. That would have made for an awkward moment there, trying to get this back on the ground. Alright, anyway, back to work here. We're going to go to the tune-up shop because all the exhaust stuff is performance. So, yeah, we'll get 2 of these. Give us a nice little 4% boost. That'll be great. Alright, let's get these mounted. Oh, maybe. Come on, gimme. There we go. Tried to skip a step there again. Okay. So nice shiny chrome tips sticking out of the bottom. I think we got good enough stuff here to be able to do a screenshot, so let's put this thing outside. Yes, that's a F-350 sitting out there. I need to put that thing back in the garage. So let's get a quick picture here. Love the paint job on this thing. Oh, wrong switch, crunk. Nope, that ain't it. There we go. There we go. That'll work. Alright. Get out of that. Get this back in the shop. Bay 1, please. Alrighty. So, take a look here. Yeah, like I said, we're missing a ton of stuff here and there, but once we get the engine rebuilt and we get it put back in the car, then we'll start filling in the engine compartment and kind of work our way to the back of the car, do the fuel system, finish the exhaust, you know, basically just work our way through the list. So, how are we doing overall? So, we're 2 out of 4 here. We've got the body and the frame 100%. The interior's not in bad shape, but we'll do the interior last. Just because we can. There's no hard and fast rule on how to do this. But we do need to probably get the oil out, because I didn't look this when I was underneath there. I didn't think to look to see if the bloody thing had a oil pan. Well, there goes that question. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Get that out of there. Good news is we don't have to remove the old oil. Or any of the other fluids for that matter. Yeah. Holy crap. You ever see the rust in this game so bad it almost looks like a camo pattern? Yeah. Alright, let's get that starter off there, because we need to get these two. Basically, you get the connection to the exhaust, but those little flex pipe things. We get those off first, get the gearbox and starter off, and then you get the oil if it needs it, and then that should be all you have to do, unless it's like a relatively complete car and still has fluids, and you might want to take care of those before, you know, you're making a mess. And the game barks at you saying, we charged you 50 credits or 50 bucks or whatever to, you know, fix your oil spill or whatever. That's Before we start on that, let me see if I could salvage, or not salvage, repair. No, I can't. Right. Both of those are absolute garbage tier in terms of quality here. So, tell you what, get rid of those. We'll order them new when we get the engine put back in. So grab the cherry picker, and there we go. Hear any noise outside? It's just the trash guy. Always comes on Thursdays. I love how we could just casually throw an engine. Wait, we're going to leave that there. We just casually throw an engine in our back pocket. And that is bare in there. Holy cow. Alright, let's get this thing on the stand. As you can see, we've got our work cut out for us. In fact, looks like we may end up having to replace the crankshaft pulley, among other things. That's minor, but below a certain percentage, the game won't even let you fix any parts up. This is so crunchy. Yeah, tell this thing's been in the barn for a while. I mean, not the least of which it's missing a shit ton of parts. Anyway, let's get started. Like I said, what we're going to do is we're going to strip it basically down to the engine block, fix up the engine block if we can. Can't say salvage in this game because their definition of salvage is basically scrapping stuff for parts. Or for scrap metal. Basically just turning it into scrap metal. Like I said, we're going to take that engine block and build everything back up around it with all new parts. If the crankshaft is in good shape, we'll keep that too, because there's not a performance version of that out there. So, Happy's definitely making his way down the street out there. Oh nope, that's something else out there entirely. Never mind. Just kind of roll with it. And like I said, none of this stuff's going to get kept. All of it's going to get removed and replaced. Especially anything that's going to be performance part. That's going to have a performance part equivalent. I'm going to peel this thing apart one layer at a time. Okay, got that off. The other head cover. Forgot to do this on the other side. Okay. Got the spark plugs. We'll get rid of those. Like I said, all this stuff's gonna get replaced. Might as well do this part before I forget again. Get all the clutch stuff off here. The flywheel off, all that stuff. Get it right down to the bare tip of the crankshaft. So, okay, there we go. Well, at least it's got all of its rocker arms, but we're going to ditch those too. Come on out. There you go. It's kind of hard to see, but we get these push rods out. Once we get those out, then we can get the actual heads out. Another recalcitrant bolt there. There we go. Do the same thing here for the other side. Try to do this without blinding everybody. Go. Got 2 of these per cylinder because, you know, for those who don't know, these cars, you have 2 valves. And you work them at different times, and you do that with a camshaft, which is, in these older engine styles, buried in the center of the engine. Usually just above and in between, or just above the crankshaft and in between, or sitting I guess directly above the where the pistons connect. So. Okay, might as well spray both of these while we're down here. If only these rusty bolts came out that easily in real life, though. That'd be nice. Okay, before we get the pistons out, let's get this junk up here taken off. Three rusty freaking bolts. If you heard any yowling, that was my cat. Sorry. Rather difficult to have ideal recording conditions in a situation like mine. Alright, anyway. Get this on this side. We'll get all the pistons disconnected from the crankshaft. Get the caps removed for everybody, including that crankshaft. I'll get the terms right yet. Keep wanting to say the wrong thing. I'm not a mechanic, what can I say? Although it would be nice to be able to learn how to do this in real life. The local 2-year college out here has a automotive program, or at least it did at one time. This might be a useful course to take. Zoomed in a little too far. All right. Oh man, that is... Oh lordy. There we go. Oh hey, it is going to let us repair the crankshaft. Okay. All right, hang on. Popped out a little too early. Oh lordy, we have to go through multiple layers. Holy cow. Alright. That's all we wanted to repair. So let's get those back on the stand. And we'll sell everything else. Okay. So the rest of this, all 5 pages worth of parts, we could salvage some of it, but we're going to be replacing a fair bit of it with performance parts, and the rest of it's just not worth, you know, futzing around. So we are going to just go ahead and do a sell everything under, well, let's just say 90. Doesn't really matter. all this stuff is just garbage anyway. Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna go find as many performance parts as we can. Slap them all in here, get it all nice and shiny again, and drop it in the car and work on everything else. So that's our plan here. So we're gonna create our shopping list here. Flywheel, 8 pistons, 3 crankshaft bearing caps, oil filter, alternator, power steering pump, get a camshaft, fuel filter, and ignition coil. That should be good enough for our first round of the rebuild. Flywheel is a performance part, so we'll go ahead and get that. We'll get the pistons from here, but we'll need to go to the regular part shop to get the rings. We'll do that here in a second. Crankshaft bearing cap's not a performance part, neither is the oil filter. Get the alternator. Check. Our steering pump. Thank you. Camshaft. Please. Go. Fuel filter. Not much of an improvement, but still, every little bit counts. And ignition coil. Ding. Alright. So, these two, we're going to go back over here. Plus, we have, like I said, we got to get the piston rings. I might just do that first. And they use just the standard, since it's an older V8 and it's not a DLC, it uses the standard piston rings. So, and if they don't work, it'll let you know. So it's not like it's going to leave you high and dry to try to figure out, you know, what you need. Okay, I got that. Oil filter, thank you. Clear the list, and off we go. Don't want to do extreme close-up. Where we see the biggest performance increase I've seen so far is like with the heads. When we get the heads put on, those typically give us a pretty healthy, you know, increase in power. Although, like I said, all these little parts that give us like 1%, 2%, 0.5%, they still add up. You're going to see some interesting numbers when we actually get to the dyno part of the rebuild. Get the fuel filter on there, floating in space like it usually does. Go. What else we got? Nothing? Okay. So now we could do round 2 is clutch plate, 8 rod caps, get our cam gear, distributor, get our heads on there. I think that's good for this round. Let's go buy stuff. Clutch plate's a performance part, naturally. The rod caps aren't. We'll skip that. That's not a performance part. Distributor A. Click. And 2 engine heads. Oh, 2. Damn you. Overly sensitive mouse. What can I say? Okay, let's go back over to the regular shop. Get our last couple of things here. 8. Gotcha. Cam gear. Alright. real fun's trying to do this kind of stuff with one of those V12s from one of those Lambo clones. It's just it's an absolutely massive engine. You would think though you'd get like I'm not sure what ton of horsepower out of it, but compared to some of the builds I've done with these, you know, classic cars, not so much. I think the last one we did something had something close to 800 horsepower, which was pretty damn good, but the size of the engine, you would half expect the thing to be well over 1,000. Because some of the little two-door, what is it, Challengers, I think? Whatever the two-door Dodge cars are named. We got something like 1,400 horsepower out of them. And it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. That thing, if it, you know, if we had something like that in real life, that that would have been a dangerous car to drive, at least around corners. I mean, don't get me wrong, it freaking flew on the speed track, but holy cow, that, yeah. That car in the wrong hands, somebody would have wrapped that around a telephone pole very easily. Okay. We shouldn't have anything in our inventory right now. Let's get the timing chain, oil pan, your exhaust manifolds, clutch pressure plate, and this big honkin' beastie there, and don't forget the distributor parts. Might as well go ahead and get these push rods too. All right. So yeah, let's go buy stuff. Go back over to the performance. That's not a performance part. That's not. These are. Get these. Alright. Clutch pressure plate. You. Intake manifold. Yeah, that's going to give us a fair bit of power. Alright. That's the performance part 2. And the rest of this is all just standard parts. Okay. Right, good to go. And 16 of these. All right, let's get this stuff installed. And shiny. Let's see. Let's get that oil pan on so we can eventually rotate this back where it should be, and then we'll make it a little easier to work on the rest of the engine. Back up a little bit. There we go. Anything else? Oh yeah, the push rods. Like I said, this engine's gonna... I think we're gonna do just fine with this one. We may not get like ridiculous horsepower out of it, but I think we'll get at least a good 60-70% increase by the time we get done with everything. Yeah, remember too, we've also got to do the rest of the exhaust, and that's going to give us some performance boost as well. And that's like I said, I'm running a completely stock game. I don't have any mods, at least not yet anyway. Future episodes we might start looking at, you know, either modded cars or mods of other types for this, but for now we're just running everything bone stock. Okay, so that's everything we had there so far. Let's create our next round parts list. Get that on there before I forget. Okay, 16 of those rocker arms, one for each push rod basically, or one for each valve if you want to look at it that way. 8 spark plugs, got you. Timing cover, just distributor cap, and we need 2 4-barrel carbs. Got the stuff for here for the other side already. I think that'll be it for this round. Alright. Here, make our rounds to the performance shop. That's not. Oh, got spark plugs. Again, only like 0.13% increase, but like I said, every little bit of extra counts. 2 carburetors. I hate working on those in real life. I'm glad most cars, or actually all cars nowadays, are electronic fuel injection. Having to sit there and fuss with a older car like that with the carburetors, it's like I'm not a car person, so I never quite sussed it for some reason. I always end up having someone else kind of fuck with it for me. Got distributor cap. Timing cover's not a performance part. So let's go here. Get the rest of our shopping list. Good. And timing cover. Alright. Get over here. Get spark plugs put in before we get too far along. Up, back up, back up. Zoomed in a little too far. Go. 1 cylinder's worth down. Like I said, once you get used to doing these, it tends to go rather quickly. Get that distributor cap while we're here. Like I said, this engine's just going to look like a work of art when we get done. It's nice seeing the progression, you know, with the... We started out with something that would give you tetanus at 20 paces. We're going to end up with something that's going to smoke the tires on our car here when we get done. Nice little satisfying feeling when you get, you know, something like this put back together and it fires up right the first time. Or if it doesn't and you figure it out, then it does eventually fire up, but that's part of the fun of doing this, is like you get to the point where you think you're done and, you know, sometimes you forget something. Like we did the first episode with that Lambo clone, that second Lambo clone that I worked on, and ended up forgetting one part. Like we had the part or the parts condition for the car be 99%, and turns out I was missing one freaking part. And thankfully this game makes it fairly easy to troubleshoot if you've got a missing part somewhere, because they show you the little individual breakdown of all the parts in the car. You see one with a missing entry, there you go. So Easy fix. We get the wires on there? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that as well. We already got the clips for the distributor cap. That's another one you want to watch out for, especially when you're doing some of the repair missions. Sometimes you'll be working on stuff and they'll be missing a clip or something. And then you go to try to say finish job or sell card. It's like, this car is not complete. And you go, what the hell, dude? And you realize you're missing these little buggers right there. So, water pump and crankshaft pulley. Okay. I think that's everything we need for this round. Let's go here. I don't think engine head covers are, yeah, they're not performance. Air filter base, that's not either. Ignition wires are. I think that's the only performance part I had on the list. Alright. Get those two clips. You. Cover A. Or B, rather. Now cover A. Filter base, thank you. Water pump. And crankshaft pulley. Alright, let's get it all installed. Before we get any further, I want to make sure I get these on. Gotta kind of pixel hunt to try to get that one clip in the back. We're getting pretty close here. We have all the clutch parts back on, so we don't have to worry about that part. I think that's all our stuff we had in our inventory. Okay. Come on. There we go. Guess I hit the wrong key. Yeah, we are almost done with this engine. Any of this is... The filters are performance, but I think everything else is okay. Go ahead and get the other two things while we're here. Good. And get the tune-up shop, get the fancy filters. Or filter, say. Phone going off. Right in the middle of everything. This other belt, get that filter cover. None of this is anything tuning related, so build A and filter cover. Get our radiator fan. Think that's all of it. Cool. All right, let's exit out. Compared to where we started, I'd say that looks pretty darn good. I may say so myself. Alrighty, let's get that off the stand. And just like I said, just casually carrying a V8 engine. Our dude's like Mr. Olympia or something. All the engine in the car. Now, compared to where we were at the beginning, where we had unknown condition for most of it, and the stuff we knew about was in horrible shape. Everything's green. So now we're done with this thing, so we can get rid of it. Oh, that looks so much better. Excuse me. Had a tickle in the back of my throat. Alright, before we do anything else, though, we got to do something about this. And this is going to be something I say in pretty much every episode, I think, without exception. Never trust your fuse box on a barn find. Ever. Okay, so we're not missing any fuses, but we are going to want to mark these and buy all new ones. Over here we can see it a little bit better. Alright, I'll get the fuse box base and fuse box cover. Reason why is one of the very first rebuilds that or restorations that I did everything but the fuse box, and the damn thing wouldn't start. I saw the fuse box and it's like, oh cool, it's complete. It just needs a lid. So I slapped a lid on it and proceeded to do the rest of the car and try to start the car. It would turn, but it wouldn't catch. Son of a bitch. Looked at the car condition. Almost everything was 100% except for the fuse box. And in particular, one or two of the fuses in the box were bad, like really bad condition. And those apparently were the ones that controlled the ability for the damn car to start. So, yeah, needless to say, I was just more than a little salty about that. So all this is over in the electronics shop, so let's get there. Okay. That first. Two type C's. That was two type A's, right? Okay. Use type A. Bingo. Two type B's. I have to call this stuff out, that way it kind of sticks in my brain just long enough for me to click the buy button. So, you don't like me calling stuff out, sorry. This is going to get really annoying for you then. Okay, so anyway. Up, back up, back up. Get all things put back together here. In real life, you'd be testing the individual relays and fuses to see if they work. I mean, I have tools for that in real life. We even have tools in the game to do it, kind of. Not necessarily testing the fuses, but yeah, you know, multimeter checking the electrical. You can do compression tests. You can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, so let's go from here and work our way around the engine compartment. So we need... Shopping list is clear. Battery, brake servo, washer fluid, power steering, radiator. That looks like everything we need from there. So let's shop. Get the battery first since we're already in electronics. And the rest of this can be had from the regular car parts. Here we go. Get these installed. All right. Get these filled up. I'm just doing them now so that way I don't have to do this stuff later. Because we got all the stuff in that uses all the fluids already installed, we're good to go on that. So just go ahead and top everything off. That way we don't have to try to start the car, realize we hadn't done any of it. And yes, I know I'm overfilling this. And all we gotta do now is just get the radiator filled up. On these older cars, you didn't have a separate reservoir for it. You had just the radiator. My first car I ever had as a teenager growing up was like this. It was a V8. It wasn't a muscle car, but it had V8 and it had you just had the radiator. You didn't have a separate coolant reservoir and the radiator. Yes, I'm not old. Okay, let's go back to assembly mode. Everything else looks like it's under the car. So I think we're good on here. Suspension we're going to do later. I'm not going to worry about that. There's a few other things that want to take care of before we dive into the suspension. I'd close that because we don't need anything in there anymore unless we forgot something, which I don't think we did. So we're gonna take care of something that did only take a minute or two. Get the fuel tank out of there. I didn't get rid of all the fuses. Hang on. Okay, add that to the list and get rid of it. And while the gas tank is not a performance part, the fuel pump is. So we'll go over and get that. No. Fuel pump. There we go. There we go. Extra little bit of performance there. Now we're on to basically taking care of the exhaust. We are going to move up here so I can actually get to things. Both front exhaust pipes so we can connect the exhaust. 2 middle mufflers. I think that's all we need. Okay, got that. 2 middle mufflers. Let's get these puppies on there. That's a shitty angle, but as long as we can access it, that's the main thing. Alright. That is a freshly rebuilt exhaust system. Might as well go ahead and get new starter and new gearbox while we're here. Either one of these are performance parts, so we don't have to fuss with that. Thank goodness. Get a gearbox and starter. Oh, starter's an electrical. That's right. It was. We'll come back to that. Starter V8. Okay, yeah. I wanted to make sure. I was like, I think that was the right one, but I was not 100%. Okay. We're gonna leave the drive shaft off for now because we need to do the suspension. I want to get the rear suspension rebuilt, and then we'll find a suitable drive shaft for it. Yeah, we're making progress though. It's already looking much better. Parts are up to 75. I think it was like, what, 20 or 30% when we started, so we're not doing too bad. Not too bad. Alright, let's get these tires off. There we go. And like I said, it's a drum setup with leaf springs. Looks like we're missing parts, which isn't going to matter because we'll order whatever's missing. We're going to replace all this stuff with brand new. So we're good to go either way. Just your garden variety leaf spring setup in the back here, so nothing super complicated. Like the Lambo clone had, you know, four-wheel independent suspension, disc brakes all around. It was much more modern design. This one's more classic. Get out of there. Oh, you're both rusted on. Ew. Okay. Okay, get that leaf spring out of there. Over here, do the same thing with these guys. Good lord, this would not have been roadworthy at all. It was missing the U-bolt on both sides. Oh boy, this one was missing both bushings. Ew. My goodness, this thing was on a rough shape here. Okay, so we're gonna sell everything that's below 90%. Just nuke everything except the tires. I didn't want to do 100% because I didn't want to get rid of the tires too. That would have been bad. At least in the sense of having to, you know, source the tires and the rims and do that whole section over again. I need that first. Okay. Again, not a performance part, so grab it from here. Okay, start building a shopping list here. So, 2 rear nickel housing Bs, 2 leaf springs, 2 rear shock absorbers, and we're going to need at least 4 rubber bushings. Because we're going to need 2 per leaf spring. Yeah, do that. Let's see, rubber bushing. There. 2 of these. 2 leaf springs. You. And 2 rear shock absorbers. Oh, it's small rubber bushing. Whoopsie. I forgot. For some reason I thought they took the regular size ones, but nope. Alright, come on. Play nice. Clicked on the wrong thing and it sent me halfway across the car. And got that side put in. We can use those rubber bushings for something else. Oh, right. We don't have that part yet. Getting ahead of myself here. We could definitely use those regular sized rubber bushings for the front suspension. So they're not going to go to waste. Release spring plates, 2 wheel hubs. Might as well go ahead and get the drive shaft installed. Shopping list. Couple of leaf spring plates for good measure. 2 wheel hubs. And a good old-fashioned drive shaft. Get over there. Thank you. Is that everything? All except for the leaf plates. For those. No. 2 solid rear axles. And 2 brake cylinders. Good to go there. 2 solid rear drive axles, please. Thank you. And 2 drum brake cylinders. Go ahead and get these U-bolts on this side done. These last couple of U-bolts installed, and then we'll get the axle and the cylinder put in. Okay. We need a couple of brake shoes. And let's see. So go ahead and just get the brake drums ahead of time. There. Brake drum, and we can put the tire back on. Alright, let's do the same thing on this side. Still have the rubber bushings. We'll use those for the other for the front suspension. Yeah, that's one freshly rebuilt rear suspension. See, the parts condition's already climbing up. We're up to 85%, so we're getting close. Get these front tires off. Cool. All right. Now we're going to take all this crap, all this rusty crap off of here. We're going to rebuild these double wishbone shock absorbers. Those are sub-assembly, so you got to take them apart and place the individual components and then slap it all back together. And yeah, let's get to it. Before we go parts shopping, we need to take that whole assembly apart too, by the way. Otherwise, we're going to have to go shopping for parts twice. I don't want to do that if I can avoid it. Most of these cars, especially some of these older ones like this, have like roughly 12 regular sized bushings in them. So once you remember that number, since it's so common between these cars, no matter what kind of car you're working on, with very few exceptions, you can kind of anticipate the kind of parts you're going to need and just order them ahead of time and save yourself a little bit of extra trouble. I mean, not a huge amount of trouble, but might make the restoration a little bit quicker, since you start noticing these patterns. Like, they use a lot of common parts for both the new and the old cars, just to kind of keep the parts count down. And so you kind of start noticing these patterns when you play this enough. Which, again, for a lot of people makes the game kind of repetitive, because you're essentially taking not the same car apart every time, but stuff that's very similar to each other. Which I don't have a problem with myself. I look at the whole thing, the whole car, as a, you know, unique puzzle, so to speak. I mean, teach their own on that, but oh, I forgot the bottom suspension arm. It can get a bit repetitive, but I still like the whole process of doing this, because the suspension work and the stuff, all that stuff's underneath. You can't really see much of that except for, you know, unless you have the car up in the air. The main thing I'm looking for, though, is I want to make the outside of the car look nice, make the interior look pretty, and have this thing have just as much power as I can pack into it, you know? I'm having that kind of fun with it. And plus, you know, you can have your own little meta for this game, saying, oh, every car I sell here, it's going to be some guy's, you know, like, not midlife crisis, but somebody's little, you know, weekend ride that they're out there, you know, taking it out on the track, or doing Sunday drives with it or something. You know, you got all kinds of ways you can add your own story to this game, believe it or not. That's everything. Oh. Yep. Okay. Let's sort by condition. We are going to, I guess we're going to go ahead and yeah, let's just go ahead and mark everything. Oh, hang on. Start over. Forgot the one thing I just mentioned you want to do, and that's separate out the assembly for the double wishbone shock absorber. There we go. Now we can do this. Okay, so when we go to buy the rubber bushings, we'll just subtract 4 from it. That way we don't have to, you know, have extra. Oh, almost forgot. There we go. All right. All this is all coming from the same shop here, so take a sip here. Okay, get both our bottom suspension arms. 2 wheel hub bearings. 2 shock absorbers. 2 brake calipers. 2 brake pads. We're going to do 8. Because I have 12 there. I've already got 4 from before. I say that 20 times fast. Okay, get our brake caliper cylinders. Wheel hub caps. Front end links. Wheel hubs. Thank you. 2 front shock absorber caps. 2 steering knuckles. Couple of upper suspension arms for good measure. Nice big steering rack. Couple of front springs. Got our innie tie rods. 2 vented brake discs. Good, good, good. Couple of knuckle covers. Tie rods. Outer tie rods this time. Got your cross member. And finally the sway bar. Whew, that's a lot of parts. Alright, let's get this all put in there. Like before, we want to make sure we get the rubber bushings put in the cross member first so that you don't get the whole car put together and wonder why you're being told the car's not complete. Because it'll more than it'll happily let you, build the rest of the car back up and get it rolling, and then you go to start it and take it somewhere and it just sits there and growls at you. The game, not the car, but still. Okay. Good. Come on, gimme. Focus, computer. Thank you. So like I said, remember I said thing about, noticing patterns when you're working on these cars. More often than not, you're going to need 12 rubber bushings. That's because you need 4 for the cross member and then 4 for each of the pairs of the control arms. So 4, 8, 12. Oh, right, we haven't reassembled those yet. Crap. Hang on. There we go. Okay, now we can proceed. Like, man, I knew I was forgetting something, but couldn't remember what it was, and that's what it was. Alright, let's get the tie rods put on. Hey, we get the tire back on. Alright, let's go rebuild the other side. Like I said, when you get all the parts ordered ahead of time like this, it just snaps together really nice. Rather than just going to the shop every time you needed to pick up a few parts here and there. I mean, we kind of did that with the engine rebuild, but yeah. Having all the parts ahead of time like this makes things go a lot smoother, much like in real life when you're working on a car. All right. All right, 3 out of 4. 100% on everything but the interior. Let's get this thing on the ground. The interior is real simple to do. This one's got, looks like a bench. Maybe, I don't know, let's take a look. Get the steering wheel. And bench. Yep. Basically, both front seats, back seat, and the steering wheel is pretty much all you got to worry about on most of these. Unless you're doing like a drag car, then sometimes they're just the driver's seat and the steering wheel. Let's see, back to normal mode. You need to look here. We'll get new versions of all these. We'll get that from the interior shop. 2 seat Rolletts. Basically 2 front seats. Brand spanking new steering wheel. Okay, now we need to assemble. And that, as they say, is that with all the major work done. 100% exactly where we wanted to be. So now we're to the point where we're going to take this over to, not to the dyno shop, not yet. We're going to take it over to the alignment booth, do the headlights and the suspension alignments, or wheel alignments rather. Oh Lord, look how far off that is. That was all sorts of cattywampus there. Hey, headlights are good to go. Whew, look at that. Ka-chow there. He's looking out that way, he's looking out that way, never the twain shall meet. That's... You had to chew through some tires with that puppy. If you even got it down the road. Oop. There we go. Alright, now for the moment of truth here. We're going to take this over to the dyno booth and we're going to see how much this thing can roar. So we're going to see 2 things here. We're going to see what the numbers were at the factory and we're going to see how much of an improvement that we put into it. So 306 horsepower, just shy of 400 pound-foot of torque. So you could do the conversion to Newton meters if you want. I'm not going to do it for you. Let's go for it. Go, baby, go. Let's go. Listen to that sound. Oh, oh. I figured it'd be about a 70-ish% increase. 541 horsepower rather. I'm leaving that one in. That was too good of a fuck up there. 541 horsepower, so gain of about 235. We got about a similar increase in torque, so this thing it'll squeak the wheels, put it that way. Too shabby, if I may say so myself. Alright, let's throw this thing outside. Already taking screenshots. So I'm curious what the numbers are. We're not going to sell it just yet. So here's the final breakdown, numbers wise. So we bought it for 17.5 or 17.7. We put a butt ton of performance parts, fixed the body up. So 72.6. So we made about 55,000 on it. Not bad. Not bad for excuse me, these older cars. So before we sell it, let's take it on the speed track and see what we can get. Alright, so we got everything set up in miles per hour. It's all good to go here. Hopefully I won't end up spinning this thing around. We can't hurt the car, so if we hit a wall, it's not a big deal. Anyway, let's go. Wish this had an external view, that'd be badass. Or if it does, I don't know what the key is. Up. Don't touch the fucking steering wheel, you dumbass. Picking myself here. 140. I guess about all we're going to get out of her. I was hoping for a little bit better speed than that, but still 140. Considering the speed limits out here in my part of the US are 70, 75. Yeah, you're still going to be hauling butt. I'm just tickled at how good this thing turned out. I mean, good lord. I wanted to do the like the light blue, like almost like that. It's like you almost see on like the vintage Mustangs, that kind of not quite sky blue color, and just freaking nailed it. It's very pretty. So, I want to thank everybody for coming by here, and if you want, you can hit the subscribe button. I'll be hopefully doing more of these in the future. They're going to be kind of slow coming out because I don't exactly have the world's fastest computer, so it takes a while to render videos, but hopefully I'll start getting a good pipeline of episodes, getting them out there on a semi-regular basis, so we'll see you guys on the next episode. And done.